Um, how many of you guys watched the fight yesterday? You know, HBO lost some money because I was watching Ate Rosa's Facebook Live. There were 20, okay, that did not pay pay-per-view, but they were watching through her Facebook Live. So HBO lost money. Oh, Showtime? It's Showtime? Okay, sorry. We keep thinking yesterday HBO. But I had to call Tita Helen. I said, Tita Helen, tell we thought that she was at Ate Rosa's house. I said, tell Ate Rose to, she's doing a Facebook Live sideways. So we're like looking like this in our TV. It's like, that's not going to work. But anyway, that was funny. What's our current series right now? We're on our third week, part 3 of our series. What's the title of our series? Your next move. Your next move. All right. The idea is that life is full of choices, right? Is that true? Life is full of choices, and at some point you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a decision, right? And some choices impact your life in a large scale. Some choices not so much, right? But however, there are choices in this life that will greatly impact your life. And I want to tell you a short story. 10 years ago, I made a life-changing decision. It was a choice. I made a life-changing decision. Because I love this woman, I'm going to marry her. Okay? And at that time, okay, hear me out. And all those married guys here, you guys will understand. Believe me, hear me out. Okay? During that time when I made that decision, okay, I love this woman, I'm going to marry her, okay? I was blinded to I didn't know what I was signing. I have no idea what's going to happen after that, right? All I know is like, hey, there's going to be a great wedding, right? There's going to be a great wedding, and somehow we're going to be together the rest of our lives. That's all I knew about what I was getting into. I had no idea, right? I was blinded to all those things that we're experiencing now, But I decided anyway. I said, you know what? I love this woman. I'm gonna marry her. And whatever it is that's gonna happen in the future, it doesn't matter as long as I'm with her, right? So, and I said, it doesn't matter if I know or I understand fully the impact of the impact that's gonna, or what's gonna be the impact of this in my life. It doesn't matter, right? So some choices in this life, doesn't necessarily mean that you can know exactly what's gonna take place in the future, right? Sometimes you make a choice right now and you have no idea what effect it will have in your future life, right? So now when we make a choice and our eternal destination hangs in the balance, right? Would you trust God? Would you trust God? If the choice that you're about to make, it's going to affect your eternal destination, will you trust God? Right? So there is this thing called walk by faith. Have you guys heard about that? People say that walk by faith. Jeremy Camp had written a beautiful song, says walk by faith. What is that? What is walk by faith? So according to Jeremy Camp, walk by faith is like this. Walk by faith is not like, okay, I'm going to walk now because I can see. I can see exactly where I'm heading. That's not walk by faith. Walk by faith is like, even though you're blinded to what's going to happen in the future, okay? And as long as you know that God is telling you to do this, you want to walk by faith. Even though you don't understand what God is doing in your life, you want to walk by faith. I'm going to go. I'm going to make that first step. I'm going to make that move, okay? Because I want to trust God, and that is walk by faith. Even if you don't understand what God is doing in your life, that is walk by faith. Okay? So just because we can't see ahead, don't let it stop you from believing what God has in store for you and in your life. The title of our message today is Come to Jesus, Walk by Faith. Come to Jesus, Walk by Faith. Okay? That's our title, the title of our message today. So in this series, we have been talking about great. We have been learning a lot of great stories, from the book of John. Encounter with Jesus. The first week we look into the encounter of Nicodemus with Jesus. Nicodemus was looking for something. He thought that with all these things that he acquired as a teacher of Israel, as a Pharisee, as a member of the Sanhedrin, with all the obedience that he's doing, that he believed was what God was looking for. With all that, he still thinks something is missing, right? There was something in his life that, there's something missing. I'm not sure I will enter the kingdom of God, And then, last week, second week, we look into the encounter with Jesus, the encounter of the Samaritan woman with Jesus. This woman was thirsty for happiness. But the problem was she was looking for happiness in the wrong place, right? But Jesus will either meet you in times when you're not sure whether you want to commit, or he will go out of his way just to meet you there. Today I will introduce you to a blind man. In fact, we will call him as the blind man. There's no other call, but he's the blind man. Okay, so we're gonna look at the story in the book of John, chapter 9. Okay, this man was born blind. Okay, we're gonna read it. Okay, this is how it is in verse 1. It said, as he went along, he saw a man blind from birth. Let's stop there. Okay, so as he went along, he saw a man blind from birth. Okay, that's very clear. So Jesus made a claim. Also, if you read the chapter before this, what happened before this, Jesus made a claim. He said, "Before Abraham was, I am." And we know what happened next, right? The people that was around Jesus when he made that claim picked up stones and about to stone him. So he ran away, right? He ran away. The Bible says after that, okay, as he went along, he saw a blind man, okay? Now, when Jesus left that place, he saw a blind man from birth. So, a couple of things here that I want you guys to really focus on. I want you guys to understand, okay? John, the writer of this book, wants to emphasize that this man was born blind, okay? He did not lose his sight when he was 5, when he was 10, when he was 15, but he was born blind. I mean, he has not experienced anything that has anything to do with sight, right? From birth, it was a birth defect. He was blind. Okay, another thing, this guy is no longer a kid. He's no longer a young kid, right? He's a man already. I mean, he's a grown-up man. All his life he could be in his 30s or 50s or 40s, right? But all his life he was blind. That's what John is trying to say here. So the disciples, when Jesus was with his disciples, the disciple was asking, he said, so who sinned that this man is blind? Is it him or his parents? Right? See, you got to understand this culture before is superstitious. They're superstitious about a lot of stuff. If something is wrong with you, you have any defect or any diseases, right? They will always associate, who made a mistake, right? Who sinned? Is it the parents or this man, right? But Jesus said, no. That's not. Jesus made it clear. He said, this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in him. Okay? So, you guys, we talk about this in our Bible study. You guys know what happened. This been shown in a lot of movies about Jesus. And Jesus spit on the ground, okay, on the dirt, made some mud, and put it on the man's eyes, right? And he told him to go to the pool and wash his face. Okay? Then the man was able to see. He was able to see. Now, I don't know about you, but if this man has a lot of reason, he has all the reason to question Jesus during that time. First of all, Jesus did not even introduce himself. Did you guys notice that? Jesus said, hey, by the way, I'm Jesus. Here's what I'm going to do. He did not explain to the guy what he's about to do. He just spit on the ground, put some mud on his eye, and he said, go and wash your face. I don't know if that's something that John left out, in this story, but as far as I'm concerned, the Bible tells us that Jesus never introduced himself, who he was, right? Another thing, if now I'm blind and you just put dirt in my eyes, and now you want me to go where? In a pool? You understand I'm blind? Who's gonna guide me there? Right? You just put dirt in my face. Now you want me to go to the pool and wash my face? At that time, Jesus never told him, hey, here's the plan, buddy, okay? We're gonna put mud in your eyes, okay? You wash it and you're gonna see. Jesus did not tell him that. Jesus did not reveal what he's about to show this man. Okay? The man was blinded, not just physically, but he was still blinded to what God has in store for him during that time. Okay? He could have said, hey, I was born blind. There is no mud in this world that could fix that. Did you guys realize? Come on, Jesus. I was born blind. This is not a disease or something that you can heal. I was born like this. There is no mud that could fix this thing. Okay? I'm blind. I get it. I'm a grown-up man. I accepted my where I'm at right now. I get it. Okay? But you can just keep adding things in this list, and we know in that story he never questioned Jesus. What did he do? He obeyed Jesus. He went to the pool of Siloam and washed his face. And the Bible tells us that he was able to see. He was able to see. So now, the crazy part is that this man never went home quiet, right? He never acted like he was still blind, right? He didn't even went home right away. He started telling people. I said, hey, this man, and his name was Jesus, and he healed me. I was born blind, but now I can see. He's been telling that. There was even an investigation by the Pharisees. If you read that whole story, Pharisees were so curious. They said, whoa, that can't be. That's impossible. There's got to be an investigation here, right? Who is this Jesus? Okay? So, here's the thing. The man told the Pharisees this. Okay, let's look at verse 30 and to 34. The man answered, now that is remarkable. Okay, now I want you guys to get the tone here. He's being sarcastic. Okay, he's being sarcastic here because the Pharisees have been questioning him and said, call your parents because we want to know really if your story is true. Because during that time, any what do you call this? When you go to the court, what do you call that thing? When you make your statement. When you're a witness, what do you call that thing? Your testimony. Your testimony before is not accepted if it's only given by one person. It has to be at least 2 or 3. Okay? That's in the Old Testament. That's what their belief. A testimony is acceptable from 2 or 3 people. So him testifying that he was healed by God, that's not good enough. So the Pharisees like, call your parents. We want to know. All right? So they interview the parents. The parents said, yeah, that's our son. And we don't even know how it happened. Because the moms are like, hey, he was blind. He was born blind. Okay? So, he's being sarcastic here. Verse 30. Now, the man was talking to the Pharisees. Said, now, that is remarkable. You don't know where he comes from? He's like, I thought you guys are the teacher of the law. I thought you guys were the teacher of Israel. And you guys don't even know what happened here? He said, you don't know where he comes from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners. He listens to the godly person who does his will. Nobody has ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. It was first ever. Nothing like this happened in their community. Okay? If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. To this, they replied, you were Stephen's sin at birth. How dare you lecture us? The Pharisees were mad. They were upset. And they threw him out. So the Pharisees, after the investigation, they questioned him, they questioned the parents. It's still not good enough. They threw him out and said, we can't believe you. We can't take your testimony. Okay? So, I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story when I was growing up in the Philippines. I grew up in a really humble place called Panganiban in Bicol. JJ and Audrey was there, been there before. But here's the thing. Growing up in there, going to school is always part of our teaching. You know, in our textbook, it's even in the textbook, right? The Mount Mayon volcano. You guys heard about that Mayon volcano? Right? We will always see this in our textbook. This is a postcard, by the way. But this picture will always show up in our textbook. And I was always amazed of how beautiful it is. How beautiful that volcano was, you know. And I was like, man, every time I go to the library, everybody reads, right? I don't read. I go in there and look pictures of my own volcano. It's like, this is so amazing, right? I mean, I knew the elevation, you know, how it looks like, you know, where it is, you know. But that time, that was what I know about the Mayon volcano. One day, my mom asked me to go with her to Legazpi City. Okay? By the way, the Mayon volcano is in Albay. Okay? But so, I went with her. I said, I was so excited. I don't care what she's doing in Legazpi. I'm going to go with her. I just want to see the volcano. I asked her, will I see the volcano? She's like, oh yeah, you'll see the volcano. You know, I was like, okay, I'm going to go then. All right? But we were heading there. It will take you 4 hours in the ferry to reach from Virac to Tabaco, Albay. Okay? So we were, you know, probably an hour prior to docking, it started raining. So the ferry, you got to understand, the ferry in the province, it's not closed, right? You got to sit in the middle, right? And it's open, so you can feel the breeze, you know. But when it rains, guess what? The rainwater comes in. So what do? They put the tarp on the side. They roll the tarp down, right? Because it was raining. So for an hour, you know, we were cruising, right? And that tarp was down, and you can't see anything because it covers everything, right? And then all of a sudden, we start slowing down. You know, we're getting close. The ferry is about to dock, right? All of a sudden, you know, some guys from upstairs started to come down, right? They were starting to roll the tarp. All of a sudden, I was right there. I was sitting with my mom. As soon as they rolled the tarp, the volcano was in front of me. And this is the picture. This picture will not give justice, but let's look at the next picture. This is looking by the dock, and it's right there, right in front of you. The ferry will dock in there, and the volcano is just right in front of you. And at that point, I forgot everything that I ever learned about that volcano. I mean, all of a sudden, I was so in awe. I was like, wow, this is so amazing, right? All those pictures that I have in my mind was deleted. It's like, this is the best picture ever of the volcano. It was right in front of me. It was so magnificent, right? But here's the thing. Why did I tell you that story? Because during that time, when I was just learning about the volcano, all I know was that there was a great volcano. But when I saw the volcano the first time, it was just amazing. I could not, there was no word to explain it, right? So, up to this moment, this man, okay, I want you guys to understand that this man has not met Jesus yet, okay? Remember when he received his sight, Jesus was gone already because he had to go to the pool and wash his face. Jesus was gone. So all he knows is that the man named Jesus healed his blindness, okay? So Jesus heard that they threw him out after he given his testimony. So Jesus looked for him. See, here's the thing. When you're rejected, believe it, that God will always come find you. Okay? Jesus looked for this blind man. Okay? Let's read it. Verse 35 and 38 to 38. Excuse me. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he talked to the guy. He said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" And he said, "Who is he, sir? The man asked, "Tell me so that I may believe in him." He said, "Tell me who that is. All I know is that his name is Jesus, and he healed my blindness." Okay? Verse 37, Jesus said, "You have now seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking with you." And then the man said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshiped him. He was so amazed. Now, it's not just because before, all he can hear was that Jesus was, he could not see. But now, Jesus was in front of him. Jesus was in front of him. So, later, after this verse, Jesus explained, he said, "For I came to this world so that the blind will see, and those who can see will be blind." Right? What he's trying to say is that he came to this world so that our eyes will maybe open, and the revelation of God may be revealed to us, and to those who thinks and who profess that they know everything might be blinded with their religious belief or their religious traditions. That was his point. See, had this man questioned Jesus from the beginning, would you think that he will witness the greatness of God? If he questioned God, he said, "Why would I even go to the pool?" Do you think he will witness the greatness of God? No. Right? Would you think that he will receive the gift of sight if he even doubted that something's going to happen, that something is in store for him the moment he obeyed Jesus? No, he would not have received it. See, my hope and prayer is that all of us here would have a heart like this man. Because here's the thing. The moment God asks us to do something, okay, and as simple as making that first step, it's as simple as that, okay? Our first response is to question him. Why would I even do that? It's comfortable where I'm at right now. Why would I do that? Right? Whatever you're telling me doesn't make sense. Why would I even obey you? Right? So Jesus put mud in his eyes. Are you kidding me? Just put dirt in my eyes. I'm fine right here. I'm sitting by the gate. Right? I don't want to leave because, maybe the next person will give me money. Now, do you think Israel was a great nation? So, just to give you a little background, okay? So they lived in Egypt for 430 years. You guys remember how they got there? Joseph. Remember Joseph went to Egypt because he was, his brothers was just messing with him, right? He was messing with him, and he says, "Hey, So he ended up in Egypt. He was a great person in Egypt. He did amazing things that the king had trusted him, right? And he brought after that, the story was long, but he brought his family, right? His whole family, he brought it to Egypt. That's how they ended up in Egypt, right? And for 430 years, they lived there, okay? But here's the thing. They were so blessed in that place. They were foreigners in that place. They were not Egyptians, okay? Right now, there was not a nation Israel yet. The Israelites were just a race. There was not a nation. They don't have a place of their own yet, okay? They were foreigners in the land of Egypt, okay? So, but God was so loving to this race that they were so blessed in Egypt. Whatever they do, they prosper, right? They were growing numerously like crazy, to the point that at one point, the Egyptians says, "Oh, they're growing numerously. One of these days, they're going to take over our nation. Let's not make that happen." So what did they do? They start oppressing the Israelites. They make them slaves, right? And so that the king will stop them from growing in numbers. What did they do? They release a command or a decree saying, "Hey, every newborn baby boy, okay, throw them in the Nile, kill them, Okay, we can't make them, populate this country. They're going to overpower us, right? But you know what happened? Moses, for some reason, escaped that. Moses, the mom, put him in the basket and put him in the water. And the princess found Moses, right? So during that time, they were already slaves. It's just starting. It's just starting, right? So out of the 430 years, so when God called Moses, he was about 80 years old. When he commanded Moses to get the Israelites out of Egypt, right? So they were probably slaves for about 80 years, right, in Egypt. Okay, so some of these Israelites were born in Egypt. Okay, they don't know nothing but to be a slave. That's all they know, to be a slave. So, but here's the thing. Regardless, God was still it was amazing how God worked in their lives. They were so blessed still, right? And so, just imagine, after that, when they got out, you guys know the story. There were movies made out of from this story where Moses parted the Red Sea. Actually, if you study the Bible, or not in the Bible, but it's not the Red Sea, because the Red Sea is salt water. Because they were drinking the water, so it's not the Red Sea. It's the Reed Sea. It's the Reed Sea. Okay. But the Bible will not tell you this. But here's the thing. Moses parted the water, and they were able to go through the land. That was crazy. That was amazing. Just imagine all the kings that came from Israel, that ruled Israel. They were so great, right? You had Saul, the first ever king ever. He was a great king. He was, right? But he did wicked things in the eyes of the Lord. So through Samuel, God anointed David to be the next king. David was a great king. David was a great king. He followed and obeyed God. He followed God, right? And you have Solomon after David. You had Solomon. Solomon was a great king. Although at the end of his life, he disobeyed God, but at the beginning, he was a great king. This is the king. I was so amazed with Solomon. And I don't know if you guys read about this, but Solomon during that time did not know how to run a nation. Solomon said, well, I need to know how to run these people. So he talked to God. He did not even ask for money. He didn't even ask for power. He didn't even ask for a powerful army. What did he ask for? Wisdom. He said, make me wise so that I can lead your people. And the Bible will tell us he was the wisest person that ever walked this earth. And he was so wise. Here's the thing. When you ask God for something, he will give other things with it, right? Solomon asked for wisdom. Guess what? Comes with that wisdom was greatness as a leader, and also richness. He was rich. The Bible tells us that he was so rich, he made gold as common as stones in Jerusalem. That's how rich he was. And you have King Josiah. King Josiah was a great king. The kings of Judah, the king of Israel before him, have allowed all these pagan practices inside the temple, But King Josiah says, no more. I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to restore the covenant. Okay? He renewed the covenant. Okay? He swept them all out. He removed the Asherah pole. He removed all the what do you call this? The articles for Baal. He even removed the priests that were appointed by the king of Judah, to be there to offer sacrifices and burn incense. He kicked them out of there. See, this nation was so blessed by God, and it's just when you read it, it was just wow. God is so amazing. And this nation, Israel, was so blessed and was protected by God. And yeah, some of them are wicked when you read the story, but there was even a point where, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the tribe of Benjamin got cut off from the nation Israel. Okay, there was a war between the Benjamites and the rest of the Israelites, right? They killed all the female, but they had to rebuild. They became the smallest tribes in the 12 tribes of Israel. So, but nevertheless, this nation was so blessed, like no one had ever seen until now. How did they become so great? How did they become so great? A nation of Israel. So, remember when God and two angels showed up appeared to Abraham before they went to Sodom to destroy Sodom, right? They had a conversation with Abraham, right? And when the two angels left for Sodom, right? So Abraham was having a conversation with God, and God was like, "Hey, Sarah will bore a son." Right? And then Sarah, what did Sarah do? She chuckled. You guys read that in the Bible? It said she chuckled. And then God said, "Hey, why did you laugh?" It's like, what? Why is this? Why is this something? Is there something so hard for God? He said, is there anything that is so hard for God? And then Sarah was like, I didn't laugh. So she lied. And God says, no, I heard you. You laughed. Right? Who was their son? Did she have a son? Yes, Isaac. That's why the name of Isaac means a chuckle or a laughter. Remember, Sarah said, God has given me a smile. Right? So that's crazy. That's just a promise of God. Let's look at Genesis 22, verse 2. Then God said, okay, so God is talking to Abraham. So then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Okay, first of all, is Isaac Abraham's only son? No. He had a brother, a half-brother, Ishmael. And at this time, Ishmael was 14 years old already. But Ishmael was the son of Abraham through Hagar, a maidservant. Okay, because during that time, Sarah could not bore a son. Okay, so why did God said, take your son, your only son? Okay, unless he's not talking about a numeric number here. So the only here that was used was Yakid. The Yakid in Hebrew means unique, one and only unique son. Okay, so here's the thing. Ishmael was already 14 years old that time. God also promised that Ishmael will father a nation. He said that in the Bible. It was a promise, but it was with Isaac. It was with Isaac that Abraham's seed will be defined, will be called, will be identified, and will be proclaimed. It was through Isaac that God promised that He will build a great nation. Right? So God promised that He will establish an everlasting covenant through His son Isaac. Okay? So here's the thing. Looking at that verse that we just read, let's look at it. It said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there. Are you kidding me? What's going on? I thought, what happened to all those promises you said? That said, you have made your covenant through my son Isaac. That you're about to build a great nation. Now you want me to sacrifice him? What is this, a joke? Like, if I was Abraham, I'm a weak person. If I was Abraham, I would have questioned God. I was like, what are you doing? Right? Did Abraham question God? Did Abraham question God? Let's read verse 3. It said, early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. Of course he didn't. He did not question God. Okay? He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, it tells you that he prepared for it. Okay? He set out for the place God had told him about. He obeyed God regardless. Now, here's the crazy thing. At this time, when he was preparing all this wood, right, he had no idea what's going to happen. He knew that there was a promise by God to him that he will father a great nation through his son Isaac. But now God is asking him to sacrifice him as a burnt offering. Here's the thing, okay, those are all biblical terms, but here's what God is asking Abraham to do. Kill your son. Abraham went there, obeyed God, made an altar, put the wood right in there for the burnt offering, right? And he was ready. He bound Isaac. He bound Isaac. He had the knife in his hand. He was about to slay his son Isaac. But God intervened. Right? God said, don't do that. I will provide for the sacrifice. And right at that time, he saw a ram stuck with his horn, stuck in a thicket, right? And so Abraham got that and sacrificed that instead. And because of that, Abraham called this place, the Lord will provide. This is Mount Moriah. The Lord will provide. So, okay, so here's a little thing that I want you guys to learn about Mount Moriah. To this day, it is believed that this place was the same place where Jesus was crucified. Remember, David brought the Ark of the Covenant in this place. Okay, his son Solomon built the temple here. It was this place where Solomon built the temple, right? And Jesus was crucified in this place. It was the same place where God said, you know what? I will provide an offering so that you don't have to die for your sin. See, when Abraham named that place, God will provide, God really provided for us so that we don't have to die for our sin. He provided his, somebody in our place to die in that same place. Okay? So, now, because Abraham's faith, God made him a promise. Okay? After what happened, after God intervened, here's what God told him, okay? And I want you guys to read this with me, verse 15 to 18, okay? Here's the thing. He said, the angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, okay, listen to this. I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand in the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. And Abraham's like, okay, whatever you say. At that time, do you think Abraham has a full understanding of what's going to happen to the nation Israel? Oh, no. He only met Jacob just a little time. I think he was only with Jacob for like 15 years. So who is Jacob? Jacob is Isaac's son. So Abraham had a son. It was Isaac. Isaac has a son, Jacob. Remember when Jacob wrestled with God? What did he do? He changed his name to what? Israel. That's why the nation Israel was established through Jacob, right? Who were the 12 tribes of Israel? Jacob's 12 sons. 12 of his sons. Yeah, 12 of his sons. Yeah, no. So, right? So So here's the thing, before we move on from this story, okay, I want you guys to understand, who carried the wood? Going to the mountains, who carried the wood? Isaac carried the wood, right? That tells us that Isaac was a grown-up kid. He's not a little, like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old. He was a grown-up kid. Why did I mention that? Isaac, when he was being tied down by Abraham, he could have resisted. But he didn't. He could have questioned God there too, but he didn't. Okay? So, yes, sir.
I'd ask that because this is important in there. Isaac carried the wood, and when that wood was there on fire, he asked his father,
Mm-hmm.
Father, where is the sacrifice?
Uh-huh. And then what did Abraham say?
God
Will provide. There you go. It was amazing. So, now question. When God asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, did he know exactly? Did he know 100% what's going to happen? What's in store for him? He didn't. All he knew was right there, he was obeying God. He said, you know what, God, I don't know what your plan is. I know a little of what your plan in my future generation. I don't know. I don't understand the whole thing 100%. But here's the thing. I'm going to make that first step. I'm going to get up. Okay? I'm going to get ready. I'm going to saddle the donkey. Okay? I'm going to sacrifice my son. If that's what you want me to do, I'm going to obey you. I'm going to follow you. Even though I don't understand what you're doing. And that is what you call walking by faith. Okay? So, if Abraham questioned God that time and did not obey to what God had told him to do, you think his descendants will see this so much favor from God, the nation Israel? I don't think so. Of course, God will always do something, right, in this world, but we're talking about Abraham's faith. Okay? So, see, God's promise and blessings. Here's what you guys to understand. God's promise and blessings doesn't only apply to whoever's, is being asked or questioned, right? But His blessing extends throughout his generation. Okay? Because of Abraham's obedience to God, the nation Israel has been receiving the blessing. Did you notice that? It was not because the nation Israel, when they were receiving the blessing that they deserves it, but they were receiving the blessing and so much favor from God because of the faith of Abraham. Okay? See, you make the move now. You come to Jesus and you walk by faith, whatever it is that God is asking you. Okay? You have no idea what God can do to you in your future generation. Okay? Not just that you will reap the blessing from this lifetime, from God, okay? But your children, your children's children, your grandchildren will experience that blessing. Who knew that when Tita Helen was accepting the Lord, as her personal Savior and God, that God will touch my life too? And I dare you to ask her later, but I bet you she didn't know that. She had no idea that me and my family will be blessed because of her faith. Now, here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I don't know about where you're at in your life personally right now. What could stop you from making your next move? What could stop you from going to Jesus? Maybe you're struggling with the fact that you can't make that one single step, because of what you're going through in this life. Maybe you can't surrender to Him because you're blinded to your disbelief. Maybe you're blinded to your religious traditions in the past, or maybe you're simply blinded by your current circumstances right now in your life. You're having a hard time believing Him because you don't think this is how a Christian should live because all the struggles, all the problems in this world, you know. But I'm going to share to you, and we're going to close by this. My favorite chapter in the entire Bible is found in the book of Isaiah. It's Isaiah 40. That Isaiah 40 has full of promises that when I read it, every time I read it, I can't help but just be amazed of his wonders. Let's look at this, and we're not going to read the whole thing. It's a 31 verse chapter. We don't have that time. Everywhere's hungry. But let's look at verse 27. He said, "Why do you complain, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel, my way," so Israel is saying, "my way is hidden from the Lord. My cause is disregarded by my God." Meaning there was a time when the nation Israel thought that God has lost sight of them, that God doesn't even see what we're going through, that God doesn't reveal to us what His plans are, and we're blinded to all these things, and we could not understand, we can't make the choice. And here's the thing, if you read the nation Israel, one of the character that this nation has is they're a bunch of whiners. They complain with every single thing. God could give them so much blessing, but the moment they step on a rock, they'll complain about it. That's just part of their character. But here's the thing, Isaiah is telling them, why do you complain, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel, that your way is hidden from God? Okay? So, verse 28, he said, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. In His understanding no one can fathom." And the everlasting God, the God who created the universe, here's what He loves to do. I want you guys to read this with me. Verse 29. Okay? "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord," some translation says, "for those who wait upon the Lord, will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagle, and they will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint." And that is the promise of the everlasting God. Did you guys sing that song earlier that we added this morning? It said, "The strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord." We will wait upon the Lord. This is the everlasting God. See, here's the thing. I want you guys to understand why I brought this up. When something is stopping you, okay, from making that decision, from making that next move, from taking that next step, okay, is something stopping you? That force that's stopping you from making that decision is not just stopping you from moving forward, but it's stopping you from seeing the greatness of God, what God is in store for you in the other side. And I want you guys to understand that, because unless you make that next move, unless you take that next step, you will never experience it.